Ooh, welcome everybody to another eclectic edition of PWT Podcast. I am your host, Phil Marks, and accompanying me to the ring today, Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. He's here.
Much love, Phil. Much love to everybody that's hanging out and checking this out, man. Thank you very much for having me on. We had you on last week, and it was fantastic over on the Wrestling Soup side, and I'm happy to be here, man.
And where can the good folks find over on the Wrestling Soup side? Where are you guys at on YouTube, and what's your handle on X and all that good stuff?
Just at Wrestling Soup, WrestlingSoup.com. I mean, if you Google Wrestling Soup, you can pretty much find every platform we're on. It's real simple. Our handle is our name. So, yeah.
Perfect. And same over here at Pro Wrestle Times, at Pro Wrestle Clips. Guys, we eclipsed 900 subs on the Pro Wrestle Times channel. Thank you so much. Please, if you are consuming this in clip form, which I don't know if the intro will ever be clipped, but if you're subscribed to the one channel and not the other, consider hitting up at Pro Wrestle Clips or at Pro Wrestle Times. We're trying to get to 1,000 on the one, and we're on the road to 4,000 on the at Pro Wrestle Clips channel, and Patreon content. My watch along of Ric Flair storming off of Kill Tony is going up right away, and members only show Thursdays, and live show Wednesday and Saturday. You guys already know. Get the plugs out of the way. So, Mish, how you doing, man? Last week, a crazy week in the world of wrestling, if you will, as far as like AEW goes, and then WWE was putting on stellar, spectacular stuff. So WWE did a bunch of great things. TNA involvement. Jacob Fatu shows up to end the week. How did you feel about what WWE's got going on, and like Jacob Fatu showing up on SmackDown there? I want to ask you about that.
I mean, the whole week was total nonstop action, no pun intended, but WWE right from the jump with Raw opening up with Seth, giving us the Sheamus and Braun Breaker match that a lot of people have been looking forward to, having Otis and Alpha Academy kind of split up with Chad Gable, finally debuting the Wyatt Six, and then on Tuesday you have the crossover. You got Joe Hendry coming in for NXT NA, I guess is the new crossover we can call it.
Yeah, man.
And and Friday, Jacob Fatu making the big splash coming in too, looking a lot leaner. That was one of the things that me and Kevin Castle talked about too, is that he looks like he slimmed down a little bit, got in a little bit more shape. And I wonder if that's best for him, or is he another one of those guys that should kind of keep the weight on and look like that Tongan Hitman kind of deal?
Yeah, I think if he did that, people would compare, because not to say that Solo hasn't leaned up as well, but I think people would make that Solo sort of comparison. I don't know. You can just tell guys take their bodies seriously when they come into WWE, though. I had noted on the live show, Jacob looked like he shed 20 of fat and put on 10 of muscle, so I'm excited, man. It was awesome. And what do you think about the talks of like, okay, Hikuleo's gonna come in next, like he's signed, and he's probably just bodying up right now as well. And then I don't know if you pay attention to Zilla Fatu on the indie scene there, or Reality of Wrestling more particularly, OVW, but he's jacking up right now too, and he's saying like see you soon on his Instagram and stuff. Are you all for like, just keep bringing the Bloodline guys in, pour them in?
I made a post up on X saying more Bloodline, and I think people took it as a sarcastic slight, but it really wasn't. I'm like, keep bringing the family in, make it as big as possible, because honestly, the most realistic stable is the one that's all united by blood. And I mean, Bloodline is more than just a tagline; it's also a clever name for the stable. And it's like, I have no problem with finally putting front and center that entire the Anoa'i family and everybody attached to it. Obviously, The Rock and Roman will absolutely return. And I can't imagine how devastating that this entire stable can be when they have every single member of the family they possibly can.
Yeah, man. Jeez. And it's
like, how many people? Like 15 people.
Yeah. Dude, and I was bringing it up the other day too on the live show. I was saying, look, man, they got not only that, like I know Tamina's sort of retired, right? But it's not like they couldn't they couldn't pick up the phone and call her and bring her in. And you got Nia Jax, you got Ava Raine, and you got the Tongan twins who
You
just
got
left.
Naomi.
You
She's
got
kind of in there by blood or by marriage. I mean, not by blood, but still.
exactly, man.
Yeah.
And you have the Tongan twins who just left Glow, I believe. And it's
Right.
like you have this whole thing you could do there too if they want to take it to that level, you know. I don't know if they'll incorporate the women in that at all, but
They
I'm
could.
down for that. Even I want more and more Bloodline, dude. I love the Bloodline. It's been one of my favorite things. And obviously, like, look how they're chanting, "We want Roman." I mean, just masterfully done. How all he had to do, because it was inevitable when he lost at Mania 40 is when we're all going to appreciate him, right? You don't know what you got till it's gone. And he goes away, and now everyone wants him back. And just, it's the story's telling itself without even, you know, the actions speak louder than the words in it. And that's what's so important.
You know, Phil, I'll be honest. I was really down on Roman Reigns for the longest time, and the Bloodline storyline really didn't pick up for me until the Sammy Kevin Owens involvement, because I absolutely love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
But that entire crossover with Jimmy and Jay, that's what really took me to the next level. Not even the Cody stuff. It was really the involvement with the Usos and Sammy and Kevin Owens that started bringing me towards it. And then I started to appreciate what Paul and Roman and the entire group were doing together. And it's like it's kind of become this snowball that's gotten bigger and bigger. And yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. Now, I don't believe, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm not a big fan of Solo being the head of the bloodline, but I don't think he's supposed to be anyway. Solo strikes me more as a vicious thug than he is as an actual leader. So I'm kind of hoping that this changes eventually, that maybe somebody takes the reins away from Solo. I don't know if it'll be Roman Reigns' return. I don't know if Roman Reigns is going to come back as a super baby face and go up against the family or something.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And then the Usos are getting all back together. Here, I'll give myself an X-Files here, but the truth is out there, okay? But listen, what I had fantasy Mark booked it was I thought Jacob, because he can do all the moonsaults and he's like the chubby, he can be like a smiley baby face too. He's done it, you know, and he can do all the backflips and the cool moves. I thought for sure it was going to be Roman comes back with the Usos align with him, and then they bring in Jacob as like their heater, but he's like a funky, cool, I can do moonsaults and babyface kind of guy. But no, they brought him in as a savage. So that means Hikuleo, who is signed by the company, he's got to come in on the Roman side, right? And then the story's like the little brother, like Hikuleo is the Tongan's little brother, and then the Usos are Solo's little brother, and then that's like, you know what I mean? Then they have
Yeah.
and
No,
then they have one brother. Yeah, it's, to me, I don't know. I think that's where it's going. Not to obviously let them tell the story. They've been doing a brilliant job. But that's I like to do that fantasy Mark book a little bit, kind of like Tony Khan, except for I don't have $1 billion to bring it to fruition.
right.
Nope.
But speaking of like Solo and him being the head guy, you know what I mean? The head man of the table. We got some. I'm going to take you into a place called Phil Marks Bookmarks. I hope you're excited.
All right.
Okay, so here's Phil Marks Bookmarks, and this is everybody's favorite place to be, where you can see that, right? Excellent.
Yeah.
So WWE applied for a trademark that, what was it? Caesar Sikoa. I got it written. Yes, so Caesar Sikoa. So I had quote tweeted this and said, okay, Caesar named himself dictator of the Roman Empire. Roman Empire is the name of Roman's faction, you know?
Yes.
And Caesar Sikoa will do the same when Roman reigns in his empire, in brackets fans or new faction name, return. This will be Solo's way of symbolically usurping Roman as the leader of the bloodline.
Huh.
I wrote either that or it's Zilla Fatu's new name. Obviously, I got to tag it with a joke at the end. But your thoughts on that, man? They're going to change it. Caesar Sikoa? It seems like he is the leader.
I mean, that would be an interesting twist. It really would. And Caesar Sikoa honestly makes a lot of sense for the way that they present the bloodline. I like the attachment between that and Roman Reigns. Makes a lot of sense storyline aesthetically. But yeah, I just I'm still in that camp that I need to see more. I need to see more before I believe that he can take the reins, before he's the guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take the reins. I
Doubting
like the
Thomas,
pun.
man. I'm a doubting Thomas.
No,
That's
but
just my
that's
name.
fine. That's fine, you know, and like I get it with Solo too. I feel like the couple times they have passed him the mic though, he's sort of done well with it. But like
You
I
know
don't
what
know.
it is? I just see him as being such a savage guy that he doesn't have the chill that
Right.
Roman has as a leader. He doesn't have the chill that The Rock would have as a leader. Like, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's cool, calm, and collected. Even though he's very stoic a lot of the time, he always seems like he's ready to snap. And I think that that's like a bad example of how a leader of a stable should be. Not that what I'm saying even matters. Like I said, I mean, it could be completely in your direction, and you're probably 100% right. I'm just saying the way that I look at him is he looks to me like a heater, like a thug ready to
Yeah.
pounce at any moment. And you'd rather have somebody like the way that Roman Reigns was running things, where everybody else would jump in and do the work before Roman Reigns even stepped up to the plate, you know?
Yeah, and it is weird that like Jacob did align with them because like people are saying, oh, they're kind of the same, you know, like Jacob and Solo build wise, and then also with like the Tongans. And I don't know, at the end of SmackDown, they kind of looked at each other
Yeah.
and they kind of did that look like, damn, even this guy might be too savage for us. So who even knows? Like it could be a three-way bloodline warfare. Like we don't know if it's just going to be one team versus one team. It could be three groups, three
Right.
tribes going. We
Wow.
don't know, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's an interesting point too, is if the family can't even get that going, if they
Mhm.
split this up into multiple groups. No, for sure.
But Jacob Fatu making a huge impact, a big splash, as you said, every pun intended. WWE shop best-selling t-shirts currently, Jacob Fatu Wolf t-shirt. So
Very good.
yeah, there you go. We'll give him a fucking air horn for that one. And then also Jay Uso Yeet t-shirt, Wyatt 6 t-shirt, Return of CM Punk t-shirt, Wyatt 6 group. So what's your thoughts on the whole Wyatt 6 thing, I guess? I don't know if I had a chance to ask you that as well.
No,
That
we
happened
actually
last
didn't talk about that. Yeah, because that was a week prior when we did the show. I'm sorry, I said last
Mhm.
week, but it was a week prior. Yeah, the Wyatt 6 didn't hit me right. I think it hit my co-host a lot harder. He was adamantly against it. I'm just against the idea of anything being done supernaturally. I really don't think that they should do that. I did follow the buzzards. I did read the website. I did check out the video clips. And when you read all the things that WWE had interpreted and put online behind the QR codes, it it tells a very interesting story, almost a little too deep, I think, for the common WWE audience or the common wrestling fan. Not that it's like way above anybody's caliber, but it tells this weird story about the split between his brother wanting to pay homage or love Bray, and then following the teachings of Bray and the Fiend. And so
Mhm.
it's this weird kind of like psycho pseudo uh, breakdown, almost like he's kind of going through a mental breakdown in his scribblings, talking about the reemergence of the Wyatt Six and everything else like that. So when we saw what was presented on Monday, obviously Triple H and Adam have both kind of come forward and said that Chad's okay. He's not dead.
Exactly.
Triple H openly said, he's like, we didn't murder him. He wasn't shot through the head, which I think is funny because even people on Wikipedia jumped on there and put the whole rest in peace to Chad Gable under his date. So a lot of people actually thought that, I assume that Chad may have passed, but no, for the storyline purposes, they made it very clear that Chad's fine. He just got his ass kicked. And myself and Kevin talked about a little bit on Friday too, that the assumed other bodies in the shots were nobody that we knew. I know that people were saying Braun Strowman. There was a couple other names floating around that might have been some of the bodies, but the only named body that we really know of was Chad Gable, and he's supposedly fine. So for that instance that they took the supernatural out of it, I have a little more hope this week. I have a little bit more hope tonight that what we see is going to be more of a presentation of like the cult atmosphere. Because to me, Phil, the cult atmosphere of the Wyatt family was my favorite. I
Me too.
wasn't a huge fan. Like the Pee Wee's Playhouse take, I enjoyed it for the first few weeks, but then it felt like it was just a medium for them to like extort and sell merchandise. Where I think that the Bray Wyatt character mixed in with the Firefly Funhouse was supposed to be a lot more cerebral. It was supposed to be a lot darker. It was supposed to be this take on, look at this wrestler. Oh, he's fun and he's happy, but now he's fucking with your kids' minds. And I always kind of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
No, go right ahead, bro. You can say cock balls. We say everything here, dude.
All right. So it was like this pseudo take on, Bray Wyatt's character developing, but then they went silly, and Alexa Bliss came around and started making everybody puke up black blood or black ooze everywhere. And then
Shout out Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah, I mean, and then Bray Wyatt comes back like a burnt raisin. It was just, I don't know, man. Like the supernatural stuff, they need to stay far away from that.
Yeah.
It's far more believable that, they've gotten Dexter Loomis, they got Bo, they got Nikki, God, who else am I missing here?
So here, it's Eric Rowan,
Eric
Dexter
Rowan,
Loomis,
yes.
Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, and Uncle Howdy.
Right, and Uncle Howdy, which is Bo, but they got them all together, and they're following the teachings of Bray, and they're following the teachings of the Wyatt family. That to me strikes as a far more interesting story than, oh, look, they have supernatural powers.
I
And
agree.
Nikki Cross kind of worried me too on the supernatural front, because even if you didn't want to take into account that apparently the Wyatt Six just murdered all these people in the back, which they didn't, Nikki came out very Sister Abigailingly.
Yeah.
And she was crawling on the floor, and she had the face paint that looked like she was undead. So I wasn't sure if she was just portraying Sister Abigail, or if she's supposed to quote unquote be Sister Abigail, a la what they did to Alexa Bliss. So, like I said, there was like a lot of worry in me. And for the most part, I'm like, as long as they keep it away from the supernatural, I think I can be okay with it. What were your thoughts on it, man?
Man, so basically, I really liked it. My whole thought process was this. I just felt like from a artistic standpoint, I would have did it a little differently, because we've always had the spooky shit and the camera follows them around and everything. And my whole thing was like, dude, why didn't you have the door light up? And then like, pardon me, not Alexa Bliss. See, I'm thinking that too, because she's very Sister Abigail-y, right? So Nikki Cross comes crawling out, right? And so when the cameraman sees that, they should have did it like Blair Witch style, where he's like, fuck this, and he starts running backstage, and then that's where, holy shit, everyone's beat up, and then he looks in the corner and there's a dude with a fucking hammer, and he's like, oh shit, and then he stumbles this way, and then he looks over, and then there's Loomis cracking his knuckles or whatever. I would have did it that way, because that's something different. That's something I don't think's been done that I can recall, at least not in WWE. But at the same time, it is like an homage to Bray, and I feel like the people in this faction are the right choices. Like they're all sort of like lost people from groups, you know,
absolutely,
which gives me the cult feeling to where I go, okay, they can incorporate. Hopefully they go down the cult route and they tell that story of just like, these are all lost sheep or lost buzzards that Bray, whatever, he sowed his seeds before he left, and whatever he lives through, whatever, however they explain it. And I agree, like Dave Meltzer was saying some shit like, oh, they all have to be like supermen who no sell and shit. It's like, no, they don't, you know, like Joe Gacy could just be like a whipping boy, you know, he could just be Mikey Whipwreck, who's like a whatever. But
well, I like that they each individual see, and this is the other thing too, is I wonder if they're going to keep their individual identities that they had before they were part of the Wyatt Six. Meaning, one of the things that I was thinking about too, and I don't even know if I talked about this on the show with Joe or not, but I'm wondering or waiting for the day that Indy runs across Dex with the new dreadlocks. And I want to see if they continue that, like if she calls him out, you know, as Dex, but also as part of the Wyatt Six. Like, will they branch those storylines that, you know, Eric Rowan was a part of with the original family? Will they Will they branch these
I
gaps at
think they
all?
have to. I think
I would
they
hope
have to.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have to, especially with Bo. Yeah, I think they have. And this is what I'm mostly pumped for. Ready from it all is that Bo Dallas is now going to be. I could see him being like in the main event now from this, just or at least an attempt. Like, here you go. Like, here's a big heel for Cody or something, or whoever the heavyweight champ is. But he could be like a top guy coming from this. And he's a guy that I always believed in before
Ah,
we were believing in Joe Hendry. I was believing in Bo Dallas and NXT. And I
yes.
always looked at him as like, one day that kid will be a top fucking dude in WWE. I always saw that in him. And he never really got the chance. The B League, or what was he in? The B
Yeah, with Michael
Squad, or
McGillicuddy. Yeah.
yeah, just all the bullshit. He had the social outcasts and all of that. But ultimately, here's I put it over because this is why. It's over with the fans. It felt emotional. It was a tribute to Bray. The production quality was great. They set all that shit up during the main event. They were putting all that work in, dude. They can't, not to make it about AEW, but they can't even like light the fucking the backstage properly for segments, you
Right.
know? And they
Of
did
course.
all this. So I'm
WWE
optimistic.
has some practice with a lot of those pre-filmed segments
Yeah,
anyway. There's been some really good ones, and there's been some not so good ones. But there is a question I do want to ask, which is
yeah.
kind of imperative of the group, considering Chad Gable as a super heel at this point, especially for what he's been doing to Alpha Academy as a whole, was one of the people that was named and visually named too, that was laid the hell out by the Wyatt Six. Now, with that, does the Wyatt Six come out as baby faces? Do they come out as heels? Or do they come out as above that and they're just there to wreck and be chaos?
I think that's what it is right there. I think that they are cool tweener. Now, I give AEW shit for doing tweeners all the time. The cool tweener, is he heel, is he babyface? But WWE can get away with it because they don't do that all the time.
Right.
And I think they will do heelish stuff, but I think the crowd will just embrace it so much that, for instance, that's why Gable, because he was being a weak ass dude to Otis and
Right.
everything.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's why he got his. So was that like crazy that they beat all those? And is that what a heel would do? Yes, but also the crowd's gonna love this and chew this up. So give them like 6 months to really like get heat, or they go full baby. But I just don't see that. They're all spooky and shit. So I think over time that heel heat they'll do it right. Here's the other thing that needs to be noted. Triple H is allowing this to happen. So Vince was always, yeah, I got an idea, put him back in the Firefly Funhouse, and
Right.
yeah, we'll let Alexa Bliss sit on top of Randy Orton. Yeah.
Well, that's
you
the
know
thing too, is I mean, they even talked about in the Bray Wyatt documentary, which I think you've seen, is they talked about how upset Bray would be after some of these meetings, how unhappy he was with some of the direction that they almost made it sound like he was a prima donna, but I felt that that was an unfair take.
Me
I'm
too.
like, if the guy has a plan and you guys are always, and WWE as a whole, it's always pushing for people to step up and step forward. And here you have this creative mind behind Bray Wyatt that is exactly doing just that. And you keep going in there and fucking with the plan. Like, at what point are you not supposed to become frustrated with these wild directions that it took? And I don't know. I've always felt that the character, I mean, obviously we know Bray Wyatt lost almost like every match, every major feud he would constantly lose, but that's because his character was so strong. The fireflies in the audience would constantly tell WWE that this guy is necessary. So it wasn't as if he was losing love for it. It's just the ideas that he wanted to take the character, I don't think ever really arrived there. And I think there was a lot of frustration there. And so now that we bring Triple H in as the head of this, as the guy who's creatively, I guess, embracing the ideas that Bray may have had, or that Bo has, or maybe even the entire group has for the Wyatt Six, I have a better feeling that this is going to at least go in closer in the direction that Bray originally intended than back during the Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, et cetera days.
Right, and it's a shame he had to pass for it to happen. It's like the Briscoes in AEW. It's a shame one of them had to pass to get on fucking TV on AEW there. Like, you hear the way the crowds pop for Mark still and everything. But I don't know how WWE, you want to talk about a big WWE flop? How the fuck didn't they tell a story where Undertaker and his urns, like, energy went into his lantern, and then Bray was the one to defeat Taker at Mania? Like, that was the story, bro. It was right there. And Vince is like, no, if it's not you, it's gotta be Brock. I mean, he's pooped on a girl's head with me. I gotta put him over on you.
Yeah, no, there's definitely. I mean, if they were going to do the supernatural, they did miss the bus when they did that.
Yeah, dude.
Undertaker,
and they meant like Demon Finn and all of that. Like, you could have did so much with that. But here's the Wyatt Six hijacking Pat McAfee. Love you, bud. Don't pull me for this, but we're gonna.
After it happens on Monday Night Raw or whatever, people were like, "That's on his birthday," and they look on. You guys all right? After it happened.
So you lied. Does that mean they go after Triple H or Pat McAfee? That is the question that I want answered. It seems like wherever the Wyatt Six are planting these little clues, it is a little bit about what the clue's about, but it seems like now this go around, because with Bray, it was very much like giving hints to certain things and explaining.
Yes.
This is more like, no, they're targeting people. The Chad Gable thing, like, you're seeing glitches in front of people, you're seeing them stand behind people that eventually, or Chad Gable at least got attacked, they targeted him. So I feel as though they're targeting one of these guys right here. I thought Triple H was one of the attacked. Like, I didn't play Where's Waldo, but like I also read some people were like Bruce Pritchard, Triple H, Braun Strowman were attacked and all that shit in the backstage in the gorilla position. So I don't know, but I think it would be cool if maybe the Wyatts also, because all the wrestlers are like, we just took off before the Wyatt family attacked, or the Wyatt Six or whatever attacked. But then what about Triple H and all of these guys? So I think it'd be cool if they also like go after management and they're just sort of above everything. Like, I'm okay with that.
Into that chaos that you were saying though before too. Like, I'm not sure if they're going to come out and they're going to be weird baby faces, in the sense of like the the restrictive baby faces where they don't mean to do good things, but they accidentally do good things. You know what I mean? Or even in the heel way, whereas you want to be heels and you accidentally do heelish things against your better nature. But I kind of feel you on the chaos theory. I kind of feel that the way that this is presented, like I said, all the evidence that they posted online, it really does feel like a shattered version of who Bo was once upon a time, of who Uncle Howdy even is now. And I can see that kind of going down the scope where they come down to the ring, interrupt a match, and just kill everybody. Just everybody gets their asses handed to them. It doesn't matter what side of fan favorite, fan antagonist, doesn't matter. Everybody's going down. And I kind of wonder if that's going to be one of those groups that everybody kind of unites up and tries to defeat themselves. So
right. And just to add on to that too, we've been on it for a minute. We'll switch gears here, but just to add on to that too, it's like the reason given for why they attacked Gable was like, if you uncode the message, it said, you stop saying thank you or whatever. And Gable used to do the thank you. Right. And when he was like a goofy baby face, but then he got all serious. So like, yeah, they murked him and ravaged everything and very heelish, of course. But again, he was like being a piece of shit. So it's sort of, they're almost anti-heroes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm down with it. I'm down with it.
Yeah. Hey, before we go on to that, since we're still talking about stables, and I don't know if you had a chance to talk about this, but I haven't even talked about it with Joe or Kev or anybody yet.
Go.
But MVP kind of had a string of tweets, or it might have been on Instagram. I'm not exactly sure which social media it was.
Yeah.
Where people were randomly asking him, like, hey, is the group getting back together again? Is the Hurt Business ever going to come back together again? And he kind of pointed fingers at Triple H and WWE, saying they don't want it, that they're not interested in the Hurt Business anymore. And I mean, I saw people saying, hey, if you're going to bring back the Hurt Business, you got to bring back Shelton Benjamin. Like, hey, bring back Cedric Alexander, put these guys back in together. And MVP, I mean, honestly, a couple of years ago, I really named him the manager of the year because he was doing so much with the Hurt Business that he surprised the hell out of me with how talented he was and how much he got guys like Bobby Lashley and Cedric and Shelton over. And it was such a good looking group. And even when he went to Omos to a lesser extent, he tried doing his best to get Omos at least some of that charisma that he naturally has. But how did you feel upon reading some of MVP's? I don't know if you did or not. Actually,
I did. Yeah, I did. And I'm actually glad you brought it up because I have it. I have another tweet here as well. If you see, boom, it popped up right there. Perfect timing. So MVP also says it's a true story. So someone insinuated that basically with the Bloodline, someone wrote, they took your gimmick and crew and gave it to the Bloodline. That's what happened. You guys are so cool. The suits, the attitude, and gold, a complete unit. And then MVP even said true story.
Wow.
So he even went a step further just to add on to what you were saying. And he goes, yeah, like they jacked the shit and gave it to Bloodline. Now, I don't know, bro.
Emotional damage.
Listen, man, the Bloodline's blood, dude. So you can't even like that's written in the it was written in the stone, like that shit's like carved in the tablets, written in the annals of time, and it's been trickling down, truly the roots have been fucking implanted in the earth, and this Bloodline family tree has grown and spurned out, and they have a million cousins who are all top.
I don't see that. Yes. I don't see that. Like, I mean, no disrespect to MVP.
Exactly.
But I don't look at the Hurt Business and Bloodline and think, oh, that's the same group.
Me neither. Me neither. What I feel like is he should be more offended at like this knockoff fucking Hurt Business that Lashley's doing with the Street Profits and BFAB right now. Like that should just be like the Hurt Business 2.0, and MVP should be managing them and bring them all back. I loved the Hurt Business though. I'm not hating on them, but yeah, he seems like sour grapes basically, and then to also go like, oh, they jacked the Bloodline shit. I just think that's kind of silly, dude. That's
maybe they know something. Maybe he knows something that we don't. Obviously, he's involved in those creative meetings too, when they're telling him what the direction is for the Hurt Business and for him too. But I think it's such a waste that MVP isn't on our TV more. I really do.
I do too.
The guy really busted through with the Hurt Business, and at a time too, Phil, that Raw was hurting. Raw was hurting pretty bad. And one of the highlights of Raw was seeing MVP bring out the Hurt Business and them talking a bit. And I even liked when MVP stoked the fires with Bobby Lashley and turned him into Savage Bobby Lashley. I don't think Bobby Lashley is a great promo in general. I really don't. That's just my personal feels. But when he becomes Savage, Angry Hulk Smash Bobby Lashley, he is one of the most entertaining guys on television. And MVP was a guy who could regularly bring that out of him. And I see that and I'm like, wow, what is WWE missing? What is the creative staff portion of WWE missing, where they look at guys like MVP and Bobby Lashley and all this unity that they had and just say, not worth it.
I don't know. And you're right. There might be something deeper there. And you got to think back to when, possibly MVP was like on the roster with Triple H back in, 08, 09. What was that era there when MVP was more prominent in WWE? Was that like 2007? I want to say around there. Yeah, the ruthless aggression era. And I want to say too, shut him up for that too, because that was a time where when things started falling off, like he was a character I could get into like back then.
Sure.
He was the first guy doing like the ball and things. So I've been a big fan of MVP for a long time, a lot of my younger years as well. I don't know, man. It's unfortunate to see this. Yeah, as far as Lashley though, he needs a mouthpiece. I fully agree. I like Savage Lashley as well. And I don't know, man. It's just unfortunate. There could have been something backstage. I'd like to think Triple H is like above and beyond that now because of he squashed shit with CM Punk, obviously, and stuff like that. So I would like to think wouldn't hold something like that, but there could be something there as well. We don't know.
Right.
And but I agree with you, man. I don't know how you're just sleeping on the Hurt Business, especially with Triple H. He was on Pat McAfee and he was talking about, hey, there's the Wyatt Six and there's the Bloodline, and you could get faction warfare. And I was talking with Evil Dose the other day on the live show, and he was saying, he's like, yo, before we get Bloodline versus Bloodline, he's like, we're gonna get new Bloodline versus like Cody and the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Faction warfare. And then
course.
we're going to get Bloodline. And then Triple H is alluding to, we could get Wyatt 6 Bloodline. And I even said, hey, we could get 3 fucking Bloodlines going at it. And Hurt
Now,
Business in a land of factions. Why don't you have them in there?
let me
Crazy to
ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this too, because I've been seeing this already starting to trickle around.
Yeah.
Too many factions. WWE doing too many factions, a little bit too much of yesterday, today, or is this just the right amount?
No, I think what they're doing right now is working, and I think it's the right amount. Now, this is where it's going to start getting shitty. This is where it just starts getting shitty, and this is what AEW's proven time and time again. Again, I hate to lower one to raise the other, but I have to. Just the best example. Like Tony Khan will start doing fucking 6-man tags where it's like Roderick Strong, he's in a faction of 5 guys, and then he's teaming up with Fletcher and fucking Takeshita, who are in a faction of 4 guys, 4 different guys. Like they're in all different. So if WWE starts going, yeah, tonight we have a 6-man tag where like this guy from this faction and these 2 other guys from this other faction are fighting these guys from no faction, that'll start pissing me off. Once they start, when factions start factioning up, then I'm gonna go, whoa. And as long as we don't get NWO, where there's
right. Yeah.
Judgment Day Red over here and Judgment Day Blue, as long as we're not going down that road, I'm cool with it. I'm even cool with I like how the factions are different too. Like Judgment Day is a group where people come and go, sort of like the Bloodline, but it's all Bloodline related or like adjacent. Whereas in Judgment Day, it's like, they kicked fucking Edge out. Damian Priest is probably going. JD joined up. Carlito could be in. Cool. For me, I'm cool with it. So,
right. R-Truth was in and then out. I'm with you on that. Right. I do like the ebb and flow of Judgment Day. Yeah, I agree with you. I do feel like Damian Priest is eventually going to get wormed his way out, whether it's by Dominic or whether it's by Finn Balor. I think that his time is coming up. And I also think that Ripley will eventually separate from Judgment Day, maybe even when she comes back, if only because everybody in the Judgment Day, especially Dominic, got these just huge boos, these huge jeers. And every time Ripley came out, people would lose their minds for her. So it was very odd to watch 2 people in the same group get such polarizing reactions. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I like that the Judgment Day is not just a stable. If anything, it's unstable because of the way that everything is designed. And it's more of the idea of what Judgment Day is supposed to be, as opposed to a completely linear group.
Dude, you said that so well. It's like unstable. Exactly. And dude, all I'm saying, when Liv takes Daddy Dom and takes over Judgment Day from Rhea, that's all I'm saying, man. She's gonna be calling for help, bro. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so we do got some other news though in WWE, which we'll circle like around to. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because Kayla Braxton, because Dave has some comments on it, and I gotta play the flute in a minute. But before we get to that, just your thoughts on Kayla Braxton. Kayla Brecker, I think, is her true name now. Shoot name she's going by now. She's doing something in Hollywood, and she is no longer with WWE. She put out a statement here. What are your thoughts basically on her basically almost decade in WWE and her just putting over Paul Heyman and saying thank you? So again, just another person grateful for her time in WWE.
I mean, Paul Heyman is really the guy that helped put her on the map in a lot of ways. Yes, you're right. She's been around the company for almost a decade, but it was the little flirtations between Paul Heyman and Kayla that kind of stand out as her pinnacle moments in her career, because it was funny. It was a good back and forth. As far as her going to Hollywood, good for her. I think a lot of WWE talent need to have forward ideas, or talent in general, not just staff members, not just wrestlers, but they should have forward thinking ideas of what they want to do when they leave WWE. And I did think it was interesting that, I guess, part of the thing that came out with her as well was that she was leaving the company, but the company wasn't done with her. If she wanted to do more time, if she wanted to stay with WWE, that was available. I know that there was some kind of background about her kind of saying the seeds were a little bit sown, or I'm not sure if she said it or if somebody said it in her position, that the seeds were kind of sown with Kathy Kelly came in. Kathy Kelly actually has this, she's an alma mater She's a Mensa student. Like, she has all these accolades behind her in the position that Kayla was for a very long time as well. But I think, you know what, good for her. If she wants to go, that's fine. Now, as far as going into the Dave stuff, which I know you're going to read off in a second, I was very blown away that this might have been even a story for half a second. The fact that supposedly Tony or AEW, and I know it's coming out of Dave Meltzer's mouth, but it was Conrad. Conrad Thompson was one of the first people that I heard that there was intro. Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on now, Mish. That's not very fair.
I
That's not
know.
very fair, Mish. Don't put me into this.
I'm getting the names confused. No, it wasn't Conrad. Yeah, it was Dave Meltzer. But so what is this idea that Dave and others think that she's getting a gig at AEW? What's going on with that?
Well, let me tell you, as I polish my flute here and spit into it, pause. This is Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. So Dave Meltzer, guys, he man, Kayla, according to him, not fact checked by anybody. David Shear, our good friend, has something to say. Great guy, never met him. But Kayla Braxton apparently has held talks with AEW.
So already in past tense.
Right.
Okay.
And she could see the writing. So contract tampering? She could see the writing on the wall in WWE. Ugh.
Liar!
Propaganda.
Maybe that's where I got the see. That's where the information gets skewed because I'm reading this now. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's Dave goes on to say, well, it might be AEW, but like it might not Tony Khan. There definitely was talk between her and AEW. She was looking to other things as well. Oh, really, Dave? Do you know what I need for the soundboard? Is that fucking Jim Carrey? Do you know him? Do you call him at him? Dude, like, Dave, did you call her? Really? Her agent? Like, who the fuck are you, man? It was one of those things. It was one of those things, Dave. It was either WWE or a definite talk with AEW or other things.
Or other things, yeah.
It was one of those things. Other things or AEW. Okay.
I hope she goes home and does nothing for a whole year. Just nothing. She just sits on the couch watching Netflix and smoking cigars. That's what I hope she does.
Dummy, yeah.
They pretty much decided that Kathy Kelly and Jackie Redmond were going to be the top two ones. Dave. Oh, man. He just makes shit up.
That's who said it. Yep.
So she was number 3. So I think by that, she kind of could see maybe it's time to go somewhere else. So he completely made this up.
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
And the thing is that he's making it seem it's just this negative spin. On the last live show, I snapped because he writes in the Observer, well, you could spin it like this. He literally tells people that that's all he's doing. And it's like she could go somewhere else because she's number 3 in WWE and be number 6 or 7 in AEW. They have RJ City, Renee Paquette, the guy who looks like Officer Barbrady. Yeah. They got what's his name again? Alex Marvez. They got Tony Schiavone does backstage shit. They got Lexi Nair. They got all of these people backstage in AEW.
Mark Henry. Yeah, well,
Mark Henry.
Not anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right. And where's Big Show at? You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
But they got all these people, and she would go be like 5th string in AEW is better than being 3rd string in WWE. Like, you really think that's a thing, Dave? It's such obscene bullshit, and it's offensive. And Kayla Braxton calls it out herself, but just, yeah, Mish, your thoughts, man. Like, you're just.
Well, let's talk about Dave for a second. You know what? The news that he's making up here about Kayla Braxton, wherever he got his information, let's just pretend for a moment that this is information that he got secondhand and didn't just make it up off of a whim, right? Yeah. Isn't it more infuriating that of all the people online, of all the different reporters and journalists and people that have connections to all these different talents and wrestlers, that Dave couldn't have made that connection just to talk to Kayla one-on-one for 5 minutes? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the part that really bothers me. It's like, Dave, you've been doing this since the 1980s. You're telling me you don't know somebody that has Kayla's number? Come
Nope.
on. It's just, I think that's the part that bothers me. Me and John Draper were talking a little bit online about Dave Meltzer and the silliness that he has, and even some of the drones that still pay his $15 a month or
Newly
$15 a
$15
week.
raised $15 up
Yeah.
to 15. Yeah, dude. What about that?
It's just it's silly to me in the day, in the digital age where information moves faster than the news or the news media, that you're charging double what you used to charge, and the fact that you can't get the honest information from these people that clearly you would have a connection with. Like, I don't know. I think that's the part that bothers me. Like, Dave, in all theory, Phil, should be the guy that we could rely on. That should be the final note. For as many years as he's been doing this, he should be the guy that, oh, Dave said it. Oh, so Dave actually contacted Kayla. That's what actually happened.
Exactly.
But
And
not
like just
anymore.
last week, he's going, "Oh, I have more friends in WWE than in AEW." Like that's what he's saying, pouting off about, because everyone's like, "But you're a fucking biased shill, dude." And he's like, "No, I have so many friends in WWE." So none of them could have confirmed this with you. Like none of them,
Right.
none of them could have gave you her number, and you couldn't have just reached out or sent one of your lackeys to do it. It's crazy. He gets away with this shit, dude. He's a liar. And so Dave Shear, a guy who I really, really want to try and get this dude on the show because I cover him every show and I've never even like tweeted out to him.
Oh, nice.
PW Insider. I don't know. He just goes at Dave and I love it. You know what I mean? He's a fellow flute player. He doesn't know it yet, but he's a good friend of the show and he has hashtag clean your office going all the time. So, basically Dave got cooked because shout out Julian Weeks as well, who I
Yes.
follow on Twitter. And so Meltzer on Kayla Braxton's departure, we just read it, right? And then Kayla Braxton responds, Kayla Becker now. So I'll try and use the name. It's going to take me a bit, but the support from you guys has been overwhelming. I am so thankful for you, but I did want to make one thing clear. Dude, this is how fucking low in the dumps, this is how shitty Dave is.
I know.
In 2024, that Kayla Braxton on her way out WWE was like, yeah, fuck Dave, basically on the way out. Like, you gotta love that, man. God, I love it so much. So anyways, though, she goes, I did want to make one thing clear as I enter my final week in WWE. If I wanted to keep working in wrestling, and then also just like a shot at AEW, I wouldn't be walking away from the largest wrestling company in the world. Nice try, rumor weeds. It's not a shot at AEW, but it's like just the thing that when you say that, it triggers people. Oh, they're Wembley, so it's just hilarious. Just cooked them on the way out. And it's like, and basically saying like, why the fuck would I go to AEW or other things, Dave, as you call them,
Right.
And yeah, I love that. What do you think of her response there, Mish?
No, fantastic. I mean, it was classy. She didn't actually name anybody, but anybody that's in the know or that's paying attention knows exactly who she's referencing in that clip, in that post. So it's good, like at the same time, even though Dave is taking his lumps right now, it's one of those things that, hey, Dave, you shouldn't have made up a fucking story about somebody who could easily just jump online and clarify what you said as being false.
He could probably question these people in public, some of these questions, and they would probably answer. Like Kayla Braxton's pretty cool on X. Like, I don't know why you couldn't even just like tweet it publicly or send a DM. What the fuck, Dave? It's so
not
crazy.
Even just that. Like, we've talked about this before too. Myself and Joe have both talked about this. We think it's time for Dave to step down.
Yes.
Like, he's been grooming Brian Alvarez for a very long time.
You what?
And Brian Alvarez should, in theory, be right now at this point of his life, the guy that's running Wrestling Observer. And Dave should be the guy kind of in the background doing maybe the matches, maybe talking about things that he loves. And he's more of an MMA guy anyways. And I guess the MMA audience still have a lot of love for Dave, which is fine. I'm not a part of that audience, so I don't know the correlation between Dave and the MMA audience. Yeah. But it feels like for the wrestling side, Dave has really, really lost touch. I mean, even the people that he heralded, like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, now are kind of like backing away from the train wreck that has become Dave Meltzer over the last couple of years. So it's funny to me that Dave is still in charge of doing his own things. Like, gosh, Dave Meltzer built an empire, Phil. Don't you think he would have other people at least reach out and try to contact Kayla Braxton? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're telling me there isn't a Dave guy, a Dave secretary, a Dave handler that would go out and fact check him before he says this weird, nonsensical shit? Like, I don't know if he's just being cheap. I don't know if he's just stuck in his own bubble, but it's really wild to me that Dave has all of these tools or people that would love to work for Dave Meltzer available to him, and he just doesn't use any of them. And he has Brian Alvarez, who has built his name up alongside Dave Meltzer for so long. And I've disagreed with Brian Alvarez many a time, but he is a lot sharper, a lot fucking sharper, and can stand his ground when it comes to making an unpopular point than Dave Meltzer can in 2024.
Mish, Dave he'll do whole stories about, oh yeah, at the AEW show, people were yelling racist stuff, and someone I know who's given me tons of Wrestling Observer information said they were WWE fans, like in the crowd at the AEW show and shit. He's literally, I've covered it.
I don't even believe he has anybody.
No, and that's what I mean. So like he expects us to believe that, okay, he can't just exactly like you said, get a lackey to reach out to someone. But but then he expects us to believe stories that there was an AEW show where people were yelling racist, sexist shit at the wrestlers, but they were WWE fans at the AEW show because Dave has lackeys telling him, but he doesn't have lackeys who can message. It's so fucking stupid, and it's just dumb. He's just a dumb guy.
And you know what? You know what you do, Phil? If somebody is actually working for Dave and they're giving him bad information like that, you cut fucking ties. Yeah, or better yet, you hire more than one, and then the other two would corroborate the story as well. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand. This is how news media works. It's not like they just hand the anchor people a piece of paper written by, Larry the coffee guy. It goes through so many different channels. And Dave Meltzer has been around for so long, has been a member of the media, one form or another, for so long. You would think he would have that branch of lackeys or minions that would do the hard work and would do the labor and do the reach out and then hand Dave the information as it was finalized. It's just, dude, you're 100% on. Dave is falling off the course.
So you had mentioned a moment ago that, you're not in the MMA world, you're not in that bubble, so you don't quite know why he's so valid to that community. I can explain it because I'm a huge MMA mark, just as big as I am a pro wrestling mark. So what it is that Dave Meltzer actually gets still to this day very valid and accurate information on ticket sales and pay-per-view buy numbers, right? Which is still more of a prevalent thing like in the world of UFC than it is in pro wrestling, simply because WWE, like, no one's really doing high scale pay-per-views other than AEW since WWE sort of started doing their things. But in pro wrestling, like, they moved away from that. It's PLEs now, and it's like, and then Dave can't use TV ratings and Dave is very accurate. He gets all the Nielsen ratings and all that, but he can't use ticket sales and Nielsen ratings and pay-per-view buys to big up AEW. Well, he can use pay-per-view buys, I guess, but he can't use those things that he actually is credible with to big up and say, like, this is why AEW is better than WWE. So he just has now lately been caught up in all of these fucking lies. But meanwhile, on the MMA side of it, when he reports the UFC attendance and the pay-per-view buys, it's accurate, but that's still like thriving over there, and UFC's king and like the other mini organizations do get clowned for their pay-per-view buys and all of that. But Dave does report accurate information on that. But in MMA, it's not like if you're working your way up, and like, it's not like if they run a smaller venue with 500 people, we clown them. Like, if it's a high level fight still,
I got you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's why he's still reputable in the MMA sphere, and rightfully so. But in pro wrestling, he's completely lost all credibility. But sometimes he does get it right, and this could be something that's right. Dave Meltzer is saying that it is the planned main event at SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Do you believe, Mish, that is the that is the match that we'll be getting at SummerSlam. I think that could be what we get personally, but I want your thoughts on it.
Well, I don't think I need a Dave Meltzer crystal ball for that one. It
Yeah.
does kind of feel like this is the direction we're going. Obviously, if you watch SmackDown, you saw the face-off. Obviously, you see CM Punk with Cody Rhodes on Friday. Yeah, that's the direction it's going to go. We're going to get Cody versus Solo. And at that point, I think there's a lot of people also rumoring in that maybe that's the return of Roman Reigns. Maybe that's when Roman comes back a little bit. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I didn't need Dave Meltzer to tell me that one was gonna be the headline of SummerSlam.
Right, exactly. And I think that's or not. I think like that's all of his WWE information is like, yeah, if you watch the show, you can tell what the fuck is going on, you know? So Dave was talking about where the fuck is it on the Dynamite rating. So I want to talk to you about that. So Dynamite transitioning from WWE. The Dynamite rating, Mish, have you had a chance to cover this on Wrestling Soup? I don't think we had a chance to talk about it, but they did their worst rating of all time. I did one of my best ratings covering it on my last live show. So it was a shout out, Tony Khan. Thanks so much, buddy. Yeah, man. So Dave, you know, he was it was 502. And if you really break the numbers down, it was more like 490 this and 490 that throughout the night. And there was they blamed the lead in. So the fuck
yes, of course.
They're
it was Black Panther instead of Big Bang Theory.
Right. So
yeah.
they admit that the lead in matters, inflates the number. They're just crumbling down. Dave is like, wow, it's really bad. He can't play that trick where it's like actually 0.23 is better than 0.22. So we win. He can't do none of that. And before I read you Dave's thoughts on the epic fucking disaster that was last week's Dynamite.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on that rating? And did you watch that Dynamite? What was because people are like, it was a really good Dynamite, actually. And I'm like, no, it's not. It was shit. There was a good match. I didn't fucking like it, but just your thoughts on and do you think they get that number back up this week?
I am proud to say that I am one of the people that refuse to watch Dynamite. Honestly, this year, Phil, I have kind of pulled back from watching AEW. Joey still does watch it pretty regularly. I can't bring myself to it. Every time I watch it, it's like pulling teeth. It's like going to the dentist's office and coming out with a hurt asshole. It is just the absolute worst thing on television. It's hard for me to follow. You know, the last time I really enjoyed Dynamite, and this is true, and this isn't just because I'm a CM Punk fan, but when they had Collision behind CM Punk and they had Dynamite, and it felt like the two shows were their own brands, their own competing brands, was the last time I truly enjoyed AEW. I'm not taking anything away from the talents in there. There's plenty of talents that I see in AEW that I would like to see in WWE or back in WWE again. But yeah, it's no surprise. They've been getting a lot of flack. They've been getting a lot of people that are turning off the product because it's not what they expected it to be. And it feels short. Everything feels short. There's nothing about the program that feels exciting. Even MJF's big return hasn't done much to move the needle. Clearly hasn't done much to move the needle. And Mercedes Moné hasn't been the huge needle mover that they thought she would be. And none of these people are. And the problem goes back to Tony Khan. It goes back to the creativity of the show. It goes back to the way things are structured. And everything feels like a mess. And for as many diehard AEW fans that blame WWE or blame the lead-in or blame anything under the sun in order to try and give credence, it's just excuses. It's all excuses. At what point do you stop making up excuses and start looking at the product for what it is, and that's subpar? Look, TNA this week, obviously we didn't get a chance to talk about that, but a big move for TNA. Obviously, they've been bringing in Jordan Grace here and there. They had the crossover. We're bringing back Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance the prior week. And this week you had like Joe Hendry. You had other guys coming in. You had Kaz on there. And they're doing ratings. They're breaking their YouTube numbers with the debut of Joe Henry in NXT. I think there's a lot more to be said by what you can do with other promotions and this crossover. And what do we got with AEW? Another lackluster Forbidden Door, another lackluster All In coming up. I'm not really feeling it. And so the fact that they got what 498 supposedly by the numbers, by the intentional books, good for them. And I hope that this number continues to decrease. And
Oh shit.
I hope TNA's number starts to go up. I hope we
Me
watch
too. Yeah, we're on that same
literally
ship. Yeah.
a switch, because look, as far as TNA goes, TNA has had some embarrassing years, right? Can we be honest here?
Oh yeah.
There has been some real painful years of TNA, but TNA has also had some amazing years. They've also had some great talent come through there. I mean, we wouldn't really have AJ Styles today if it wasn't for TNA. Yes, I know he was in a tag team with Air Paris back in WCW, but he wasn't moving the needle back then.
No.
It was his run in TNA. It was Ron Killing's R-Truth's time in TNA. There's a lot of things that happened in TNA that became valuable for WWE. And if now we're in the Triple H era where this guy is making moves, tonight we have Raw and Lucas Oil, and now they've booked Lucas Oil for the Royal Rumble. I think they have SummerSlam and
you got it right here.
Right. Yeah. SummerSlam and WrestleMania. So
WrestleMania, dude.
Home of the greatest football team in the history of the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
Hosting all three of these events. I'm excited for it. I'm genuinely, they had the pre-sale codes today. Or not the pre-sale codes. They have the deposits and the pre-sale list. So if I have a cool $1,000 to put down, I can get myself some floor seats.
Yeah, dude.
Hopefully I don't have $1,000 to talk right now, but I just like the idea that they're playing there. Also, WWE making those moves to Mexico. Dude, we were just talking 2 weeks ago why it would be difficult for WWE ever to go to Mexico. And it was because of the way that it's arranged down there, and because of the way AAA is and CMLL is. And I was so happy when recently this past week, WWE's like, yeah, we're going to try and do some stuff in Mexico. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. And Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. They're going to blow the doors off this
And
place.
here, let me put some MMA shit on that too, dude. You want to know why they're so confident? Because UFC's building a fucking just like we have performance centers in UFC, they have performance institutes. They're building a PI in fucking Mexico, dude. They're doing to cultivate fighters and everything. So why not on the same plot of land you build a fucking PC, put some wrestling rings up, and
who doesn't love that idea, Phil? The fact that you have on
Dummy. Yeah.
You have WWE on one night, you have UFC on the other night. You can sell the tickets in a bundle. Like, man, it just seems like the money's going to print itself, and everybody gets a turn. You introduce new talent. You show new exposure to talent that Americans have never seen before, or WWE fans have never seen before. And even with UFC, the diehard UFC audience now has an opportunity. They can take it, they might leave it, but it leaves the opportunity there to do some crossover fan work.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for what they're doing. By the way, what's AEW doing? Oh, John Moxley's going to bleed this week? Fantastic, guys.
Exactly. And then he's going to go real wrestling. I think I have it right here. Where's this fucking goober stumbling around? Real. No, did I save it? No, I don't even think I did because it was so stupid.
It was pretty bad.
Stumbling around. I'm like, real. This is the real goddamn sport. And
nobody has a concussion in wrestling. It's all made up.
Nah. Yeah. It's okay. Bleed. Where am I? What city is this? Oh yeah, the greatest wrestling city. I'm cool. But and exactly, what are they doing? Well, they're fucking have Dave Meltzer, their little fucking puppet, making cope excuses about their shitty TV ratings and ticket sales, and Dave Meltzer says it was beyond devastating. It like probably will for who, Dave? Who was it beyond devastating?
Emotional damage.
For who? Him and Tony clutching pillows. He's fucking clutching his Ray Phoenix pillow, fucking having a cry or what, dude? God damn, that's funny, man. It was beyond devastating. It probably will not like be the same Brian. But that number was scary. He was terrified, dude.
It was coming right for him.
Coming right for us. Yeah, Jesus Christ. It was real scary. Dave's in his fucking cellar with a month's worth of food. I look at this week's lineup, and this lineup is okay. but it does nothing for me as far as making me want to watch the show. Oh shit, Dave. Will I enjoy the show when I watch it? Yes. I'm sure I will.
How do you throw shade and praise the same company in literally 2 sentences? One sentence says, it does nothing for me. I have a dead penis. I need AEW boner pills. And then the next he's like, when I watch it, of course I'll enjoy it. What the fuck? Literally the king of double talk, talking out of both sides of his mouth, Phil.
Yeah,
Literally.
his ass and the side of his mouth at the same time. But does this lineup make me want to watch the show? No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But when I watch it, it'll be awesome. Oh my god, dude, it's so fucking stupid. Whatever normal is, in quotes, normal is getting smaller. So I don't know.
Of course you don't know.
And whatever normal is, Dave likes to go, well, what does disappointed mean? I mean, it's just semantics. Why are you it's like, Dave, you're playing semantics now. He's doing it
I
again.
was disappointed
what's normal?
when I was happy, but now I'm not happy, so I'm a little disappointed at not being happy. Like, Dave, stop talking in circles. Like, just say what you want to say. Like, I would have more respect for Dave if he's like, Jesus, what a shit show it was this week. I don't know. I can't make excuses. This was a horrible episode. Hopefully, that's what you do. Hopefully, next week they get their shit together and they give us something to watch. Like, instead of this, I was disappointed, but if I watch it, I'm going to enjoy myself, guys.
Whatever normal is getting smaller. So it's actually normal. So it's not abnormal, but it is abnormal. Like, what are you talking about? So what could help save AEW? Mish, I must ask you. Some people, Fightful Select has an idea. And they, Conrad Thompson sort of put some shit out there about, he was chatting Jim Ross up about some ball shavers, but more importantly, he was talking to him about insurance. But more importantly than that, Eric, he was talking to him. He was chatting him up about what social media was saying about Shane McMahon possibly joining AEW. So I don't know. I guess Fightful reached out and numerous AEW talent inquired internally about the possibility of Shane McMahon appearing in AEW, but we're told that it hasn't been something considered. He no longer has a contract of any kind with WWE, including a talent contract, Legends deal, blah, blah. He was in 2K24 as part of a separate agreement. So Conrad Thompson, I guess he was lying.
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
So, do you think Shane McMahon, real quick, Mish, do you think Shane McMahon saves AEW and that's what will make things get better?
If they pocketed Shane McMahon for AEW, I have no faith that they would do something stupid and just blow him on a regular Wednesday. They wouldn't even put him on a fucking PLE or a pay-per-view to maximize views to get that money. They would do something like put him on Rampage, like there's absolutely no way in hell that
he'll debut on Collision. This is great.
Right. On Saturday afternoon. Like,
and then Tony would fumble it too. He'd fuck it up to where like the people wouldn't get behind Tony as like a McMahon invading his company. It would be like everyone would get behind Shane for I'm gonna save this company from Tony's bullshit.
Right.
Like Tony would find a way to fuck it up too. I just know. But yeah, it seems as though this is all fake bullshit that Conrad Thompson put out there in the ethos. So I don't know. That was funny, and that was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. And with that, I want to thank you so much for being here with me, Mish.
Yeah,
and I want to get all the Wrestling Soup guys to come in and just invade PWT Podcast. And man, I'll shoot you a link whenever I'm live. You don't have to join, but I'll put you in like my group where I send a link out. And if you ever want to, man, you jump in on the live shows.
I don't know if you always. We usually do post shows past the events, but during the live show, yeah, I'd love to come on and just shoot the shit with you on this. I think it'd be great.
Absolutely. So just tell the good folk where they can find you once more.
WrestlingSoup.com at Wrestling Soup. We're around. I mean, if you want to find us, we're on every platform from iTunes to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreakers. Well, not Stitcher anymore. Stitcher's gone, but we're there. We're everywhere. So thank you again, Phil, for having me.
Thank you, man.
Absolute pleasure. I love talking to you, dude. This is fucking high energy, I enjoy the hell out of it. So good stuff. Hopefully everybody enjoyed my appearance.
Yes. Round of applause. I wish we had more time, but we'll do this, dude, anytime. Also, you want to have me on Wrestling Soup, you goddamn reach out, and I will absolutely be there. I'll drop whatever I'm doing. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I'm Phil Marks. You guys already know, at Pro Wrestle Times, at Pro Wrestle Clips, and I love you guys. Peace.
Mountain time.